Hello and good morning and welcome to this Q&A session on the web eAF forms. Please note that we are recording this session today and the recording will be posted available for viewing later on our PLM portal forum and also on the eSubmissions website. I will now quickly hand over to my colleague Anna Maria Cardone, who will present on how to use the Slido and how to ask questions during this session.
Good morning, everyone. So during this session, you can send your question via Slido, joining by the browser at slido.com or via the QR code here shown on the screen. You can send your question or upload the question you want to hear answered. So I give the floor to Christina and showing the questions that we had from last session in our backup. So please.
Thank you, Anna Maria. So as you already see, there are some questions that we have from the previous session. So please feel free to post new questions and you can, of course, upvote previously received questions or questions that have been posted by other users. We'll try and make this session as interactive as possible. So if you have any type of question, please just post it and we'll do our best to respond to those questions. So we'll...
First question, will there be a UAT environment for the national products?
Yes and no. So we are planning to release the nationally authorized products into our UAT environment. The UAT environment can currently be accessed by those users that were previously who previously had access to our UATs. So this means we have a smaller group of testers for initial testing. So this is mainly members from our eAF maintenance group, but also those that were previously testers in the previous beta UAT would still have their access to the UAT environment. For the time being, the nationally authorized products are not yet available in that environment, but they will be made available there later on. We do not plan to run a big external UAT when we launch the nationally authorized products into the system. So we will have a data release, most likely on the second quarter of the year, which would mean possibly April, May time, and nationally authorized products will become available in the system. We do not plan to run an external user acceptance testing on the features and on the product data, but the products will become available in the system and they can be used for production submissions, just like the system can be today used for centrally authorized products. Later on in the year, when we are planning to then run a larger external UAT to confirm that the minimum viable requirements for mandatory use are met. And at that point, there will be a UAT environment that also contains the nationally authorized products. But this will be later after the go live of the nationally authorized products in the system.
Next question. Under declaration of the applicant section, we had two tick declarations which seem to be GDPR related and were not visible in the finalized form. What are these declarations and why were they mandatory? Also, they are not visible anymore.
Yes, these are indeed data related, privacy related questions. They are mandatory and they are visible in the web UI when you select when you have changes that relate to product information. So, for example, package leaflet labeling or SPC. is ticked, then those three mandatory tick boxes do appear under the declaration section. Indeed, they are not visible in the finalized form, but it is there to ensure that you confirm that all the personal data has been removed so that there are no GDPR related issues relating to your application. But they are only visible when you tick certain annexes in the previous section. And because they are not part of the NTA application form, they are not in the final PDF output.
Can we request a coordinator user for all the team?
A coordinator user can be requested for all users. Of course, it depends on what kind of access would you like to grant for all those users. So, of course, a coordinator has the widest possible access and can see everything, but we do not limit on how many coordinators one marketing authorization holder should have. So, indeed, yes, it is possible to request that role for the whole team.
Just maybe to add up on that, that the users need to submit the role by themselves. So just in the eventually the person meant to say if the coordinator role can be requested all at once for a given number of users. So each user needs to submit independently a role request.
Thank you, Joa.
Next question. Why are we receiving invalidations for eAF we are not signed when it's confirmed that signature is not mandatory at the moment?
I presume that this question refers to an application that has been sent using the PLM portal, the web eAF. I'm not aware of any cases received at the EMA because, of course, well, the forms are only available at the moment for centralized procedure, but we would have rejected any based on lack of signature. The teams should be well aware that we do not invalidate based on a lack of signature. If you are using an interactive PDF, let's call it the old eAF variation form, then of course we would reject if the form is not signed because the signature locks the form. But with the web eAF, we do not currently invalidate if the form is not signed. So maybe you can contact me after the meeting if this is the case, because obviously we should not be rejecting any.
Thank you. We finished the questions, so we encourage you because okay.
There are a few new ones.
There are a few news.
Just accepted them, yes.
The release document includes PLM known issue. Is there likewise for PMS migration? This would be useful to be aware of issues such as MPID, PCIDs as an example.
So we, of course, if we are aware of known issues related to the product data or the integration between PMS and the application forms, we do list them. But we don't unfortunately have in this meeting at the moment a colleague from PMS. They do have access to the questions, so we will talk to our colleagues and maybe they can answer this in writing. The Q&A will remain open, so you will be able to then see the response in Slido later on. So hopefully the PMS colleagues will be able to provide further information on that.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Christina. Next, with regards to the UAT environment, just to clarify the situation, you confirm it is only available for CP, is correct. For the rest of the procedure, it will be available upon the release in March 2023.
Indeed, currently, the current UAT environment only contains centrally authorized products. But of course, there is actually no need to use the UAT environment for the centrally authorized products because we are already in production, and we would, of course, recommend you to play around in the production environment. As long as you don't submit the form, there's no harm at all using that production environment as a testing environment. The nationally authorized products are, however, not yet available in the UAT environment nor the production environment. Before we release the nationally authorized products into the production environment, we do certainly intend to release them into our UAT environment as well so that we can run proper testing. I cannot say exactly when this would happen, but I would certainly anticipate that it would happen prior to the March date so that we will have sufficient time to do some internal testing in a more production-like environment with these products.
Thank you, Christina. So we still have 20 minutes more or less for the questions. So please, if you have any question, issues or doubts, you can send it the questions through Slido, to the joining the QR code or via slido.com, inserting the code 2874178. Go. Is there any problem if we have both user access, eAF applicant coordinator and UAT?
I can take this one. There is no problem. So they are meant for different purposes. So the eAF applicant coordinator role grants you access to the PLM portal in production environment. And then if you have a similar role for UAT, so those roles start with the prefix UAT underscore and then eAF applicant something. Those are meant to grant you access to the PLM portal in our UAT environment. So they coexist, so you can have both at the same time. They just grant you access to different versions of the PLM portal. So the UAT roles are meant when you participate actively in the UAT phase that happened a few months ago and potentially in the upcoming year, in this year, upcoming months, I mean.
Thank you, João. Will the release date of the UAT environment for national products be published on the PLM forum?
Yes, absolutely. However, we don't, as I mentioned earlier, we don't really plan or intend to run an official UAT for the nationally authorized products, as in data release. So we're not actively going to test the data. So the data has been tested by the PMS team because the data is coming from PMS. We felt that it's not necessarily a feasible and a good use of resources to test the data in the eAF in the PLM portal, but the data will be available in that portal, and the forms can then be used for production or for just test using. But indeed, when we do have those products available in the UAT environment, we will make an announcement because of course there may be users that have access to UAT and would like to test for certain features. We will make an announcement in the forum.
How can we access the UAT environment? Is it a different portal?
Yes, it's a slightly different URL. You can access it if you have previously taken part in a user acceptance testing, which we were running in September. So that environment is still available, but as I mentioned earlier, we don't really recommend using that environment because we have the production environment available with the same level of data. In fact, much better level of data because this is production quality data. In production in the UAT, we have there may be some data quality issues, and also not all the synchronizations are running the way they are in production. So you may come across an issue in UAT that would not happen in production.
Thank you for releasing some bug fixes this week. Do you have further planned bug fixes releases in the next couple of months?
Indeed, yes. So this is something that it is part of our regular release management. And now that we work in an agile mode, we normally have a regular 2 weekly sprint release schedule, and we only had a break because of the holiday period. So there was a deployment freeze from the 13th of December until the 9th of January. So we didn't have any releases during this period, but we are back to our normal 2 weekly release schedule. There should be some further bug releases and some new features in the next sprint release after 2 weeks. So, for example, we have planned for the next sprint. As you may have noticed in the portal, the fields for ASMF number and the dance number are missing. So, for example, those fields are planned to be included in this particular sprint, and there are some bug fixes. We are, however, very much concentrating on an overall performance improvement. There are still some issues where we feel that the performance of the portal with regards to speed and packages not shown immediately are important issues that need to be solved as soon as possible. So there should be some bug fixes delivered in 2 weeks' time, and also hopefully some new features or use cases will be also delivered. And this is how we are hoping to continue. So every 2 weeks there will be a new sprint, and with that sprint release there will be some new things delivered to users. So we are incrementally increasing the value and hopefully making the system better.
In the future, when national products are included, how will multinational products be handled? Can eAF be copied and adapted for different countries?
That's a good question, and that's something that we have discussed quite a lot. So at the moment, the copy function is not available. Also, what is important to bear in mind that you may need to change the way you work. With the interactive PDF, what I have understood from various industry users is that you fill in one form with the common data, and then you distribute the form or fill in the national specifics in the forms. Of course, when you're filling in the web eAF, the very first step is to select the marketing authorization holder. And once you have selected the marketing authorization holder, you cannot change it. So basically, the use case is not really possible where you would be able to copy. We are looking, however, different ways of copying, and if there is a way to do we call it a simple copy or a dumb copy of a certain field that could be reused, we are looking at different options and discussing this also in our eAF maintenance group and in the eAF SME group, to see what are the best ways to fill in these particular user scenarios.
Where can we find where can we find this URL? I'm asking for the national products once it's announced or published.
The link to the PLM portal is available in the eSubmissions website. The URL for the user acceptance testing is not currently published anywhere because it's an environment that we don't recommend for general use, and at the moment we don't expect to see requests for roles for the UAT because we don't have an active UAT running. But once the UAT starts, we will, of course, have meetings related to the UAT. We will have training for the testers. We will have a lot of information, and the link to the UAT environment will also be available to those testers.
Thank you, Christina. I think this is referring to the you already answered. Okay, so if there is no any other questions, we can just, Christina, give you the floor for the next step and the closing.
So thank you very much for all those that have joined this Q&A session today. It seems that we have done quite a good job in answering all the questions, as there are no more questions. So please keep an eye on the PLM portal forum page, where we publish all the information on the on sessions and recordings and documentation, Q&A documents and user guidances. So, for example, we have just published an updated version of the guide to navigation. This is a living document that will be regularly published. Also, we do update the eSubmissions website, and the recordings and the links to the all the user documents will be available also on the eSubmissions website. So the next publication is just being prepared as we speak by my technical writer colleague. So hopefully it should be there in the next couple of hours. It was supposed to be already published this morning, so hopefully it shouldn't take too long anymore. We have another training session planned for next month. So if there is any need for training on the use of the forms, you're warmly welcome to attend that meeting. And we will continue, of course, providing regular feedback and trainings. So thank you very much for your participation, and have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you. And just before quit this session, we kindly ask you to fill in the survey to give us feedback on the session. Thank you very much.